Hi, folks. Welcome to the Getting Your Edge podcast. My name is Dennis.
And hi, I'm Judy Gratton.
And we're here to help you right-size your home and your life. Good day. This is Dennis Day, and this is episode 16 of Getting Your Edge, How to Right-Size Your Home and Life podcast. We're to help you, and I'm going to talk to my co-host. You say hello, Judy Gratton.
Hello. Nice to see you again.
Today we have a very special guest. This is Marnie Blanco. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right.
Hello.
Marnie Blanco from meeting with us from Colorado, and she's here to talk about a way to avoid a timeshare but get some vacation property. It's going to be very interesting and different. In just a minute, we're going to introduce Marnie, and she's going to talk about her business called Picasso.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Judy, I'm going to take a few seconds to talk about our business because we don't really promote ourselves all that much on our podcasts, YouTube channel, etc. And I just had a weekend with a new buyer. She's very frustrated and disappointed because the market is crazy hot.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got to overpay and losing out to people who make higher bids. We're here to help them, aren't we?
We are. We're not just doing this on video. We can actually meet up with you if you have questions about what it would look like for you personally to downsize or right size your life. We're here for you. Just feel free to contact Dennis or I or my husband Jim, and we can meet with you and answer any questions you might have.
And if you're thinking of selling, this is a terrific time to sell your home because there just isn't any inventory. We are back to the crazy multiple offers, thousands and thousands of dollars over asking price. Seller getting most of the concessions, buyers giving up lots of things. It's a fantastic time to sell your home. You want to start off questions, Judy?
I really do. I'm really excited. This is a new concept that Dennis was like, have you heard of Picasso? And I'm like, no. Well, yes, a different spelling. But so from my understanding, this is sort of a partial home ownership. And so can you tell me, how does partial home ownership work for vacation homes such as those offered by Picasso?
Yes, thank you, Judy. And yes, everybody knows Pablo Picasso, right? That's why we actually named the company Picasso, because everyone wants to have a Picasso, is what we say. So it's kind of fun, but we do spell it differently, P-A-C-A-S-O, instead of the normal way. So with vacation homes, and I love your podcast and your topic of right-sizing your home ownership, because it applies not only to your primary home, but it also applies to secondary homes and vacation homes. And that's really where Picasso comes in. And so the entire mission of Picasso is to make second home ownership possible and enjoyable for more people. It's really that simple. And when you start to look at the second home market out there and how many people have second homes and how they use their second homes, a typical second home people only go to maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks a year. They're not there most of the time. It probably sits empty about 90% of the time. And then it becomes, underutilized supply. You were just talking, Dennis, about an inventory problem, and just it adds to some of the constraints in the housing market. So when the company was created, it was actually founded by our two founders, which is Austin Allison and Spencer Raskoff. Austin himself had got a second home, and he was thinking how amazing it was. He worked very hard. He grew up, not super wealthy. He worked really hard. It always had been a dream to him to have a second home. And so when he finally got the second home, he thought everybody should have a second home. Everyone should have the option and opportunity for this. It shouldn't be just restricted to wealthy people. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the concept of Picasso came around. So what Picasso is we are a co-ownership model for second homes. And we come in and we buy high-end luxury homes and we turn them into a co-owned second home. And when we say co-ownership, that means you can buy an eighth, a quarter, or up to a half of a home. Because like I said, in second home ownership, you're probably not going to use it all the time anyway. And so this creates a very accessible model for second homes. So when we first started the company, as I mentioned, it's to make second home ownership possible. people out there might, dream of having a second home. Maybe they have a really nice primary home, but they can't necessarily afford an entire second nice home, to keep up their lifestyle. Or they don't want to take care of it, right? When people go to their second home, they want to think of it as a vacation. They don't want to wait for the refrigerator repairman, or they don't want to do chores around the home. They want to enjoy it like they're on vacation. And so with Picasso, because you own a share of a home, it makes it more affordable, more accessible. And once all the owners are in the home, Picasso just moves to a total property management role at that point in time. So we take care of the entire home, top to bottom. We work with all the owners to make sure that everything is taken care of for them, almost to the point where it's like owning a hotel. You come, you check in, you stay, you leave, and we handle every other element of the home. And so it's true home ownership. And it's, a lot of people, after you describe this, they're like, oh, it's like a timeshare. And we don't actually like the word timeshare. We call it the non-T word. Nobody likes timeshares, right? But the biggest difference between us and a timeshare is this is real, property ownership. And when you buy it, you can sell it just like you would sell your primary home. And so you come to us and say, hey, I've been here for a year, 2, 3, however long, and this has been great, but I want to sell it. We put it on the MLS. We market it just like we sold it the first time around. And so it becomes a really good option for people who are looking for a second home. Either one, like I said, maybe they can't afford an entire second home, or we have another audience of a lot of owners who can afford an entire, say, $5 million home, but they know they're not going to use it all the time. And so it's not a wise use of their investment. And that way too, then they can, kind of diversify their investment. They could have a Picasso. We have a lot of owners that might have one in Miami, and they also have one in Aspen because they want to have a little bit of beach and mountain action. And it kind of just gives them a little bit of variety and options on how they want to use their investment.
What kind
so
of
you say
deed?
you own this, right?
Yeah, and so I'm wondering what kind of deed do they get when they buy a portion of a home?
So when we purchase the home, every home goes into an LLC, its own LLC. And so when you become an owner on however, whether it's an eighth or quarter, so every home goes into an LLC. And when it goes into the LLC, every owner of the home is an owner of that LLC. So the LLC holds the deed, holds the title of the home. So the transaction actually is very simple. It's a very simple process because you don't have to go through title and escrow, et cetera. It's all held within the LLC. So you literally could purchase a Picasso and be an owner within a couple of days.
So you can sell this. Can you pass it on in your will as well?
Yep, you can pass it on. A lot of our owners actually buy their share in a trust or an LLC of their own. So it depends on how they want it to be set up.
If one owner wants to sell and the other owners don't want to sell, is there a way to achieve that when you're an owner in the LLC? I thought if it was an LLC, everyone it was all or nothing.
Yeah, so that's actually not the case. And that's the beauty of Picasso, is that our owners come in and more often than not, they don't even know the other owners. Right. And because what we're doing is not necessarily something new. There's people have been doing kind of do it yourself co-ownership for a while. You have friends or family and you all get together and say, hey, let's go buy this home. It's going to be so great. And more often than not, those sometimes end up in messy situations, right? They don't know, they don't have a scheduling system or like a calendar, and how do they decide who gets to use it? And Judy, to your question, what happens when one person wants to sell and they don't want the other people to sell? That's the beauty of Picasso, is that you can sell at any given time. We help you sell it. It's up to you. You pick the price. We'll give you kind of a CMA type of thing and help you with it and guide you. But the owners pick the price. And so then we have a new owner into the home. And like I said, more often than not, most of the owners don't even know each other. Some of them prefer it that way. Some of them are very private people and they don't want to know the other owners in the home. But then we also have some homes that people love to, know who the other owners, and so they'll leave little notes for each other in the cabinets or the drawers, and then all of a sudden now they have a big Facebook, group and of all the owners. So, but the model of Picasso is basically we will find the owners of the home and we will handle and take care of the home, but you will always feel like it's yours.
So when you buy these homes, are they furnished or do you furnish them or how do you get them to a place that people can come and go and
Yeah, great question. So because we buy high-end luxury homes, they tend to come with furnishings a lot of times, but we have a very, I would say a very specific Picasso standard of how we like our homes to look and how we like them to feel. On the outsides, they're very relevant to their market, to their area. So if we have a home in Palm Springs, you might see a mid-century modern. If we have a home here, in the Colorado mountains, you have like the quintessential, Colorado mountain home. But the insides are all very new, modern, updated. So when we buy a home, if there's furnishings already in there, we'll use them if they kind of meet our standard. If not, then, a lot of times we'll donate that furniture to, local, places or charities in the area. And then we have an entire Picasso design team that comes in and outfits that house from head to toe. Not only just furnishings, beds, linens, all of that, but every kitchen has a supply of flour and sugar and spices.
wow.
Every house has a supply of baby materials, whether it's a pack and play or a high chair. They're completely outfitted. We tell our owners our homes are built so that you could host a Thanksgiving dinner there in the drop of a hat. And so they really like, to have that experience and be able to share that experience with their friends and family.
And so
basically
then
turnkey.
how does Picasso handle the management and the maintenance of vacation homes owned by multiple? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah. And so when we buy the home, the way that it works, and we're pretty transparent about it, we buy the whole home and whatever that whole home price is with the design, at whatever type of furnishings or outfitting we have to do in the home, whatever that entire whole price is, we mark it up about 10 to 12% and we divide by 8 and that's your share price. So if you go to Picasso.com, you'll see we have a share price out there and that's how we do it. On top of that, then there's a monthly operating fee, and that monthly operating expense is everything it takes to operate that home: taxes, utilities, insurance, cleaning, turnovers, maintenance, reserve funds, everything that you possibly need. We take that entire budget, we chop that up in 8, and we just pass that straight through to the owners. So Picasso doesn't take any part of that. You do pay Picasso a $99 a month management fee, which is not much, but all of the operation costs of that home get passed through. But the beauty of it is you're not paying for the entire home. You're not paying all the taxes, all the insurance. You're only paying for an eighth of it, or if you own a quarter of the home, a quarter of it. And so it makes it really, really a smart way to use the home. And then from a property management perspective, Picasso in every one of our markets, so we're in 40 different markets in 4 different countries. So the US, Spain, London, and then Cabo, Mexico as well. Each one of our markets have a home manager who lives and are local to that market. So they are in and out of that home constantly in between owners, making sure the house is tip-top shape. We have maintenance managers as well who make sure that everything is taken care of that home and it's always in perfect condition for when our owners arrive. And so the management of the home is really kind of, the secret sauce sometimes, because we have some really, really great owners, and we have one in Malibu, and he always says, God, I just love Picasso because they just do everything I don't want to do. And so it's such a great model for our owners. We have I think we're a little over 1,500 owners right now worldwide. And just a lot of happy people creating some really cool stories and experiences.
So give us some idea of what you talked about London, so a couple foreign places and Mexico, but how about in the US? Where are we going?
Yeah, so all over the US, we grew up and we launched in the West in California. So we have homes all over the California beaches, Napa, Tahoe, everywhere, up and down the coast right there. And then you move we're in like Park City, Utah, where you start to have your mountain and your ski homes. And then you move into Colorado and we're in, Breckenridge and Vail and Aspen and Telluride and all the places here in Colorado. That's my hometown. And then we launched and we started moving to the East Coast. So now we're all around the, southern Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, Key West, We even have a couple homes in Marco Island, and then heading up northeast, also in like the Charleston area. We even have a home in Cape Cod, and so we're starting to build out that East Coast presence as well. We tell everyone to go to Picasso.com. You can see all of our listings out there, get all of the information, the pictures, videos, Matterport walkthroughs of the home, so you can really feel it's because it's really interesting when you're doing a second home or you're looking for a second home. A lot of our owners like what we call a drive home. They like to be able to drive there in a couple hours, right? But a lot of owners, might fly in to wherever their homes are. And so we sell probably almost half of our homes sight unseen because they can't necessarily be there in person. So we have, extensive virtual walkthroughs. We have a sales team that works with our clients to answer all their questions and go through. I mean, just even today, somebody was asking, they're like, I need to know exactly what kind of wood is in that house. Like, what kind of hardwood is it? And so we have people who are so detail oriented that they know every detail about these homes to share with a potential buyer coming in to make sure it's a good fit for them.
How do you attract sellers to list their homes for this sort of purchase?
Yeah, this type of model. So we have an acquisitions team at Picasso, and their whole job is to find us inventory. And Dennis, like you said, inventory is tough all over. We have a challenge with that, ourselves as well. We are a broker, though, in every state that we operate in, and so we can shop an MLS just like anybody else can. And then we have a team that puts kind of layers on some data behind it. So what is the demand? We have a lot of people coming to Picasso.com and saying, hey, do you have a home in Idaho? Do you have a home in, Destin, Florida? And so if we don't have an active market there, that's kind of information that we store. And we say, we kind of layer it on and say, is this a good place where we would like to be? And then we start shopping the homes and we shop the neighborhoods as well to make sure that it's a good neighborhood for second home ownership. That we are, we're following the rules and the ordinances of the local markets. And then that's how we find our homes. So a lot of times we go in and because we buy the whole home, some sellers don't even necessarily know that it's going to be a Picasso. Some do, for sure. And it's good for sellers though, because it gives them another option. We are a big buyer. And so it gives them, an option. And another way too, which is really interesting, is not a lot of our homes, but several are people who have a second home and they're not using it all the time, like we've talked about. And they're like, does this make sense that I still have this whole home? And so what they do is they contact us and they say, hey, I'd really like to keep a portion of this home. I'd like to keep a quarter of it. And then you buy it and you find, 6 other owners to share this home with us. And of course, if it's a Picasso style home and it meets our standards, that's an excellent option for us and the seller at the same time. And, it's a good kind of like how you say it, good right sizing of their second home.
Mm-hmm. That's
a lot of communities are putting restrictions on short term, like through Airbnb or VRBO. Does Picasso have issues with that they have to move around?
Great question. So yes, we operate in all those markets, and a lot of people consider us like an Airbnb, but we're not because this is ownership. And at this time, we don't allow our owners to rent or lease their homes. We do get a lot of demand for that though, and so that's something we're looking into. And market by market, we might change depending on what the local ordinances are. But yeah, we are very careful and making sure that we are following the local ordinances, and typically they don't allow rentals, and so we don't either.
But as a partial owner, you're not considered a short-term rental. Correct.
You're not considered, and that takes a lot of education with a lot of these local markets sometimes. And so we have an entire public affairs team that is their job too, as well as to work within each of these markets and making sure that people understand our model and that we're also following whatever we need to do in those areas.
So what are some of the limitations or restrictions, if any, that a buyer would have in using their home once they've purchased it?
Sure. I'd say the biggest restriction, like I said, is we don't allow rentals at this time, but owners are more than welcome, to gift their home to friends or family. We even have within our scheduling app, we even have access where they can add a guest and it invites the guest into the app so that they can use the home and they have access to it. They get the security codes and all of the information about it. And so it makes it very easy for them to share their homes with friends and family. There's really not any other restrictions. We do with our owners have kind of a good neighbor policy when they become, owners. We don't necessarily want them having, major wild parties and disrupting the neighborhood or the communities. And so we kind of have some framework, I would say, as to kind of a good way to use the home. And like I said, so far we're so lucky and we have such amazing owners that's, these are mostly people who a lot of times have been coming to these markets, for years, and they know the area, they have their favorite restaurant, they know their activities, but they don't want an Airbnb and they don't want to stay in a hotel. And all, our homes are single family homes that are, quite large and wonderful to host your friends and family. And so it gives them a really good option to have their own kind of piece of the community when they come.
And you mentioned your app for scheduling. So how do you schedule time in the home? What does that?
Yeah, so that's always our number one question is how do I make sure I get the good times, right? I want to make sure I get holidays and the best ski times. So within the scheduling app and within our owners, every owner can hold up to 6 reservations at any given time per 8th of ownership, and they can stay anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks at a time, and they can book it up to 2 years out. So within the scheduling app, we have intelligence built in that within those 6 reservations, you can only hold 1 holiday or 1 peak season time. So for example, in our Colorado homes here, everybody wants to go skiing. And so we have a peak season defined within the application. And when you come in and you use that holiday or peak season, you can then go book another one right away. So for example, we have 4th of July coming up, and let's say I had a home and I have it booked for 4th of July. I come in, I stay, I leave. Well, now I only have 5 reservations on hold, or maybe even less. If I haven't used all my reservation slots, I could go book Christmas right away if I wanted to, if it's available. And so the only rule is you can just only be holding one at a time until you use it, then you can have another one. And so we call it our sun and ski guarantee. So we make sure that it's kind of fair and equitable use among our owners. And we get a lot of compliments actually based on that, because I think that's one of the biggest headaches of co-owning a home is that calendar. Mm-hmm.
The timeshares, people, I've talked to people who have timeshares and they can never get in when they want to.
Yeah. Or they're locked into like a certain week. They have, week 17 and week 34, and they want a different time. Ours is more really like kind of like a hotel. You go on, and you book whenever it's open and free, and use your times and you book more. So it's kind of a good rolling reservation type of system.
Is there a maximum number of days you can use the home if you're, say, an 8th share?
Yeah. So per 8th ownership, you get about 6 to 7 weeks a year. So that's because you own an 1/8 of the year. If we have another owner who hasn't used all of their time, they might let our home manager know, say, hey, I'm not going to use all of our time. They'll go to the other owners and say, hey, does anybody want more, than your 6 or 7 weeks? This is, could be available for you. You would just then pay more of the monthly operating cost. So proportionately, for however long you have. And then that way it gets really, it's a good use of the home. Like I said, typically second homes sit empty about 90% of the time. Our homes, on the other hand, are occupied about 97% of the time. They are consistently used. So, it's really, really good for communities and markets where people rely on vacation people. A lot of businesses rely on it, and it's a way to make sure that we're supporting the communities around us as well.
That's really cool. Can the owners, is there a place for them to keep personal items that maybe they wouldn't want left out for 7 other families to use?
Yeah, great question. Every one of our homes does come with a personal locker. Typically, sometimes they're in the garage, sometimes they're in a basement, sometimes they're in, a hallway, depending on the setup of the home. But every owner has a personal locker that they can store their stuff with. and keep there so that when they come and go, they can take it and put it back when they're done. Makes it very convenient and easy to show up to your second home.
Can you buy more than an eighth share?
Yep. So you can buy up to a half. So we have owners that are eighth owners, quarter owners, or even half owners. And I would say, I think we only have maybe a couple that own a half. Majority of the people are eighth or quarter owners. And then, of course, you just get double the time. So if you have 6 or 7 weeks per year as an eighth owner, then, for a quarter owner, you'd have, 14 weeks a year, et cetera. So it just depends on how much you plan to use the home. We have a lot of owners too that come in and they buy an eighth of a share, to start with, and they really enjoy it. And then they're like, oh, we want another one. And so then they upsell, to another share. And so they become quarter owners at that time. And we even have sometimes people who are quarter owners and sell, back down to an eighth. And more often than not, when they do that, they take that eighth and they stick it into another home so that they own multiple Picassos.
I see. So they're not just going to the mountains all the time. They might be at mountain, beach combination.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one thing we do offer as well for our potential buyers coming in for our owners is within the first year of owning your Picasso, we have what we kind of call the YOLO program. You only live once. And now is the best time is to say, what, they might get into a home and feel that, I love the model. I love Picasso. I love this investment. But I would like a different home. They can swap to any other home that they want. And if the price is higher than what they paid, they just pay the difference. If the price is lower, we'll actually credit them back. And so we really, really want to make sure that these owners are happy with their purchase and it's where they want to be and it's where they want to create their experiences.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And what kind of financial commitment should partial owners expect if they purchase a Picasso?
So great question. So we actually handle financing directly through Picasso, and you can finance a Picasso up to 70%. And so you do have to come, with 30%. And I would say about half of our owners are cash buyers and about half finance, like I said, directly through Picasso. And we've got our own partnerships and facilities in the background that make sure that that's an option. Because typically you can't get financing for something like this. That can be pretty difficult. So it's a great option for potential buyers when they're coming in.
So how does Picasso address any potential conflicts or disputes that might happen between two owners? Do you have that happen very often? I don't know if they don't see each other much, but
yeah. Great question. I don't think we have many disputes or conflict, but what we do get is an owner might say, hey, I would like a hot tub in this house, or I would like to add a Peloton bike. Actually, I think all of our homes have Peloton bikes anyway, but, some type of an amenity like that. And so the way that the operating agreement for the home and the owners work is that you have to have 75% of the owners, so 6 out of 8, have to basically say yes. And if that's the case, then whatever the cost is of the new amenity or the change gets rolled into the monthly operating budget. And then everybody basically shares among whatever that cost might be. So you have some say in the home of how it looks, how it feels, how it functions, is definitely up to our owners, and we listen to them very carefully. In addition, if an owner was to default on their share, maybe they did finance and then they didn't, they're not keeping up their end of the bargain, that's where Picasso comes in, and we cover it until we can resolve the situation and or potentially even find a new owner for the home. So it puts a nice safeguard for all the other owners in the home.
And you said you list these partial purchases in the multiple listing services in the different cities. How do people look for that? I mean, what do they, besides going to Picasso, is it on a different?
So all of our homes are in the MLS. So if an MLS shares their data out, with a platform, our homes will be in there and you'll see them. That we always typically on the first picture have a big banner that says co-ownership, because if you have a home that's $500,000 share, but in a community where this home would be, $5 million, people are like, is that a mistake? Is there a zero missing? Are you sure that's the price? And so we're very, very clear that this is a co-ownership type of property. And we work with agents. So if any listeners on here are agents, we have agents bring us buyers and we pay them a full 3% commission to bring us buyers. And so it's important for us to be a part of the real estate industry, and we work within the MLS and the real estate communities to partner with agents, worldwide. And we don't have necessarily any exclusivity. Any agent can be a Picasso partner with us, and most simply bringing us buyers. And it's a pretty easy transaction for agents, so they like it.
So I've been on a website and I've seen some beautiful homes, and I have been on your website. They are gorgeous, gorgeous homes.
They are.
Really are.
Good eye candy.
Fantastic places. How do I buy?
How do you buy? Yeah. It really is a very simple process. So yeah, if you go onto Picasso.com, you can click on a specific listing and you can say, hey, I want to know more. You can contact sales at Picasso.com, and that goes directly to our sales team. And like I said, we have a salesperson for each market, and they know these homes. So they can tell you specifically everything about it. They can give you a virtual tour if you'd like. You can get an in-person tour, of course, if you would like. And their whole job is really to make sure that this is a good fit for you and your family and your friends, or, whatever reason you're buying this second home. And so, like I had said earlier too, you go through, once an owner is interested or a buyer is interested, before becoming an owner, they would sign what we call a membership interest purchasing agreement, MIPA, and an operating agreement for the home. And so really going through that agreement, their down payment, the purchase, it can really be done in literally just a couple of days. And so it's a very, very quick process. And our sales team is there to kind of basically be the concierge to help our buyers walk through all of that.
Wow.
A buyer can get an in-person tour. Can they get an in-person stay for a day or two?
We have done those as well, kind of a little bit of a trial stay. We have done that. What happens sometimes is it can be kind of challenging because the home might be booked, or it might be, hard to get them in right away, especially like if it's a peak season time of the year. But yeah, we have been open to doing that, and we offer that, and our sales team can work with buyers on that.
So when people own this home in partial ownership, obviously the home is appreciating, hopefully, as things are going on. And if a person decides to sell their share, is that appreciation then transferred over to them in their sale?
Absolutely, it is. It shares. Yep, they decide the price. And I would say we have quite a few resellers now. And like I said, if they want to resell, we will put it back on the MLS. We put it on Picasso.com. So when you look at our homes, there'll be a little eye that you can hover over, and it says this is a resale of one of our owners. So we're very transparent about that. And I would say right now we're averaging about 11-12% upside to our resellers. And so when they come in and buy with us, we don't guarantee any type of, upside investment. That's not, what we're doing. But we all know that real estate is a pretty safe bet, right? And so far our owners who have resold are seeing, like I said, about 11-12%.
That's very nice.
Fantastic. Marnie, is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered?
I think we covered a lot. I would just reiterate to go to Picasso.com. Dennis, like you said, the homes are absolutely beautiful. Make sure you give yourself a little bit of time, because you get sucked in and you start looking at a lot of different places, and you start dreaming about a lot of different places. And so it's just such a great option for people. And it's something that if they really take the time to look at these homes and think and picture and imagine themselves in these homes, I mean, it really is a life experience. And like we say, you only live once, and life is too short not to have some of these wonderful experiences. So we're excited that we can offer such a product to people and help with those lifetime memories.
I think it's just a wonderful idea. And I mean, everything, you've really thought out all the bits and pieces of it to make it just sounds fabulous.
Yes, absolutely. And if either of you are interested in Picasso Home, just let me know.
Okay.
Well, like I said, I've been on them, and yeah, you sit there and you look and you think, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful house in a wonderful place that I want to be. And you do start dreaming.
It's better when you can make it reality, right?
True. And this makes it easier for that to happen.
Very much so.
For a lot of people.
Thank you, Marnie. I appreciate you taking the time to explain this alternative to, say, a timeshare or even buying an individual vacation home that sits empty. I think this is an interesting way of getting into a vacation home without all that cost.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Judy and Dennis. It's always wonderful to share our story, and we love the questions, and just thank you for your interest in Picasso.
And I think we will have a link to Picasso on our webpage for people who are interested in starting their dreaming with that.
Wonderful. Yes, and any questions, please go to Picasso.com, and we've got a lot of information out there to help people out.
That's it for today. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Marnie.
Thank you, Marnie, so much for.
Thank you so much.
That's episode 16 of Getting Your Edge, How to Right Size Your Home and Life podcast. We hope you enjoyed this and go to our website at edgegrouprealestateservices.com and listen to other episodes. And give us a call if you want help with buying or selling. That's why we are really here.
True.
And that's all for today.
That's it, folks. Thanks for listening. And stay tuned for future episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks. Goodbye.